I'm diving deep into the mind of a narcissist to uncover how they can mentally abuse others without feeling any remorse or empathy. Let's see if I can make sense of this complex behavior. Narcissism is a term that's often thrown around, but few people truly understand its psychological implications. At its core, narcissism is a personality disorder characterized by an inflated sense of self-importance, a deep need for admiration, and a lack of empathy for others. This toxic mix can lead to devastating consequences for those around them. Mental abuse is a serious issue that can have long-lasting effects on its victims. But what's even more disturbing is that narcissists can perpetuate this abuse without feeling any remorse or empathy. They can manipulate, gaslight, and control their victims, all while maintaining a charming facade that deceives everyone around them. It's a masterclass in emotional manipulation, and it's essential that we understand how they do it. Narcissists have a unique ability to identify and exploit the vulnerabilities of others. They can make their victims feel seen, heard, and validated, only to turn around and discard them when they're no longer useful. They use charm, flattery, and even affection to control their victims, making it incredibly difficult for them to leave the relationship. But what's even more sinister is that narcissists can do all this without feeling any guilt or remorse. They genuinely believe they're doing nothing wrong. The lack of empathy in narcissists is staggering. They can watch their victims suffer, cry, and beg for mercy, and still, they can't put themselves in their shoes. They're unable to understand or relate to the emotions of others, which makes them incapable of feeling remorse or guilt. This emotional detachment is a hallmark of narcissistic behavior, and it enables them to commit mental abuse without any qualms. So, what drives a narcissist's behavior? Is it a result of their upbringing, or is it a deeply ingrained psychological tic? Psychologist. While the exact causes are still debated among psychologists, one thing is clear. Narcissists are wired to prioritize their own needs above all else. They have an insatiable need for admiration, power, and control, which drives them to exploit and manipulate others. Psychologist narcissists have an uncanny ability to mirror their victims' emotions, making them feel like they're the only ones who truly understand them. This creates a deep sense of emotional connection, which can be incredibly intoxicating. But what the victim doesn't realize is that the narcissist is only mirroring them to gain control. Psychologist. They're not actually invested in the victim's feelings or well-being. They're simply using them to feed their own ego.
When you're in a relationship with a narcissist, it's like being trapped in a never-ending nightmare.
They'll make you feel like you're walking on eggshells, always anxious about what you say or do next.
They'll make you doubt your own sanity, convincing you that you're overreacting or being too sensitive.
And through it all, they'll maintain a facade of innocence, claiming they're the real victims.
The emotional toll of narcissistic abuse can be devastating. Victims often feel like they're living in a constant state of hypervigilance, always on edge, waiting for the other shoe to drop. They can develop anxiety, depression, and PTSD, and even struggle with self-blame and shame. The contrast between the abuser's mindset and the victim's experience is stark. While the narcissist feels empowered and in control, the victim feels helpless and trapped. But here's the thing. Narcissistic abuse is not the victim's fault. It's essential to remember that the abuser's behavior is not a reflection of the victim's worth or value. It's a result of the narcissist's own psychological deficiencies, and it's not something that can be changed or fixed by the victim. The only way to break free from this cycle of abuse is to recognize the narcissist's behavior for what it is, a toxic and destructive force that needs to be escaped. In conclusion, understanding narcissistic behavior is crucial to recognizing the signs of mental abuse. By shedding light on the psychological traits that enable this abuse, we can empower victims to break free from these toxic relationships and reclaim their lives. Remember, recognizing narcissistic behavior is not about blaming or shaming the abuser. It's about acknowledging the devastating impact it has on its victims. If you're interested in learning more about narcissistic relationships, be sure to check out my other video on the topic. And if you have any personal experiences or insights you'd like to share, please leave them in the comments below.